Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Sting, our first of the 2017-2018 season. Happy to have you along. I'm Joe Hutzler, the voice of the Hornets. And before we get to our first guest, we're going to remind you about our social media accounts because it is yet again a very busy weekend, and the best way to follow updates about the teams that are in action this weekend is through social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course Snapchat as well. Now, without further ado, let's bring in our first esteemed guest, which is Mr. John Mackey of men's soccer. John, good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you on the show, and a very successful start for you all so far. I know it was a draw on Sunday against UMass Boston, but I think the thing that I take away from it was the ability to have adversity for the first time in your season at home, late in the game, and you, out of all people, score a tying goal. But as a team effort, we'll get to that in a minute, but as a team effort, is that a good sign for what's to come when you guys will inevitably face tough times again?
Yeah, it is a good sign, and in a way, it is a good thing to face this adversity in the beginning of the season, to especially show the young guys, hey, this is what can happen, so we need to learn how to adapt. And like we saw over the weekend, the thing we need to work on the most, I would say, is our final product. So the build-up was good. Tactically, I thought we were sound, but you know, you got to put the ball in the back of the net at the end of the day, and that's what we struggled with the most. So it's good to see it, study it on film, do everything you need to, and fix it.
So when you say final product, you mean goals?
Yeah,
you mean
goals.
Finishing once you get inside, especially once you get in the box.
Yep, just testing out the keeper and putting it away.
I would agree that there was some struggles there
Yeah.
on Sunday. Now, for yourself, before you scored the game-tying goal, you had a great chance. Frustrated, of course, but able to come back and score that one to tie it up at 1. Take me through that moment, and that I've never played soccer, so when that kind of ball comes into you, it's played really well as you're on the run. What's going through your mind at that point? Can you even see the keeper and where he is to try and shoot it around him?
So in that instance, you kind of have to have a soccer mindset going. Well, you always have to have it whenever you're on the field, but especially in the attacking third. So, and it comes down to trusting your teammates. So the freshman, Michael Zhang, played a great ball, and I knew he was capable of it, which led me to make the run. So once I saw Zhang on the ball, I knew I just had to try to spin around their outside back, which I did successfully. And sure enough, Zhang put it on a dime, and I was able to see, even pick my head up and see the keeper coming out, which made me put it to either side of him. So yeah, that's how it just all fell together, I guess.
One thing that we talked about a lot over the weekend, and we will inevitably for the rest of the season, is the youth on this team, and not just their age, but being able to play. You know, a lot of freshmen that started and played over the weekend. How would you assess this freshman class in terms of what you think they're capable of down the road?
So a lot of the seniors and I have talked even before they came in, and now that they're here, I can honestly say this is the best freshman class since I've been here. Talent, attitude, and chemistry are all huge aspects of what makes a good freshman class, and they have it all. So yeah, having them in here is just going to help us even more so, just like we wanted. So
one of those freshmen is your brother, Ben, who played well in that game in the midfield. Played a lot more in that one than they did on Friday night. I think he's, from my perspective, he's starting to earn the minutes for sure. What can you tell us that we should expect from Ben? Because obviously you've been watching him since he was born.
The type of player with Ben is basically what he's going to get. He's got a phenomenal rate, and he's got a really good soccer brain. So he can see the field better than a lot of players. If you see that in games, you'll see him drop off, get the ball, and create. So that's exactly what we needed from him. And like he said, he's earning his minutes, and expect to see more of him because he's doing well. He's adapted just right away, just like we needed him to do. So it's good. He's doing well so far.
On that goal that he scored, he was one of the people that came in one of our angles. You really could see the excitement. Do you think he was more excited, or you were more excited?
I don't know. Him and I are pretty similar in that aspect of our hunger to win. So I'm sure if the roles were reversed, I'd be just as excited. But yeah, we talked after the game, and we were just, both of us were a little upset, like I said, being true winners, that we didn't get all 3 points, but it's better than a loss, I guess you could say.
It is. In the end. and you did get a win over the weekend to go along with it.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about you as a person off the field. Senior year, obviously, May is coming fast. It always feels like it's in your last year, it just flies by. What is your thought process about what you want to do after May? You know, where you think John Mackey might end up after graduation?
At the moment, it's hard to say, but so when I first came in, I studied. I was undeclared, but I was leaning towards a communications degree. But after a while, I switched over to I declared a marketing degree.
Okay.
And then I switched majors to sport management, which was probably the best decision I've made since I've been here. And that's not an insult to the marketing department or anything, but just individually, I think that's best what's for me. And so taking what I've learned and stuff in the classroom, I'd like to work for not necessarily a team, but maybe a clothing line. So like Adidas or Under Armour or something like that, and maybe in their sales department. So.
Well, I think the sales department probably does pretty well with those lines.
Yeah.
That's not a bad path to choose.
Yeah.
And you got sports management kids working the cameras today, so you're not going to offend anybody here this afternoon.
Okay.
Outside of soccer, you told me you enjoy fishing and you enjoy family time. Obviously, those two things go together more often than not. What type of fishing do you enjoy?
Freshwater. My dad really loves saltwater fishing, so whenever I'm with him, my uncle lives in Florida, so we go into the Gulf of Mexico and deep sea fish. But due to seasickness, I'd have to say freshwater and largemouth bass are what I usually go for. So that's my favorite type.
So you're more of a stand on the side of the river
Yeah.
instead of getting it, or
And just
get on a boat or something?
Yeah, I'd prefer standing on the side and just enjoying the calmness. And
I'd have to agree. I don't have it. I wouldn't say I'm been different when it comes to saltwater, but I'd prefer to just stand on the side of the pond and have a good time, and I could even sit in a lawn chair and have a good time.
Exactly.
For yourself, when it comes to opportunities, you've had some pretty good ones when it comes to internships, and you just recently had one, which is interesting. We talk about sales and apparel, but you worked for a software company over the summer. How can you take what you learned there and apply it to what you might want to do in sales with an apparel company?
So working at Cloudera was a huge opportunity because it's a pretty prestigious company. So, and the thing is, it's outside of my degree, so it's computer software. So when I was there, one of the guys who was in charge of me, the intern, asked me on one of my first days, basically, why are you here? And I told him, because I want to learn how to properly sell something, learn my sales techniques, and market. So, because I'm a marketing minor, so I feel like that would have been the best for me, and they did it, or they did their best to teach me, and it was a 6-week internship, and I honestly learned a lot because it's not like a car salesman, like you walk in and they start bugging you and all that stuff. It's basically what can I help? So a customer would come to them and say, what can I do for you? So it's the next level sales.
Right. Well, John, we really appreciate your time on the show today, and you got a big weekend ahead of you, the Roanoke College kickoff. Find out more information at lynchburgsports.com. And sir, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
We're going to step away. When we come back, we will talk to Sarah Hammock of women's soccer on the Weekly Sting. Welcome back, everyone, to this week's edition of the Weekly Sting. A beautiful fall afternoon here at Lynchburg College, and we're going to give you our first Hornet trivia question of the season. This week, it pertains to women's soccer, and Mr. Todd Olson, who with 2 wins over the weekend, we ask you, how many wins does he have now in his career at Lynchburg College? If you're following us on social media, it's a really easy question for you to answer. So without further ado, and speaking of women's soccer, let's bring in our next guest, which is Miss Sarah Hammock. Sarah, thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
Happy to have you here today, and for you to be a part of an historic moment for Coach Olson this past week. When you're in that moment, I mean, do you guys have any idea that he's that close, or did you not know until after the game?
I didn't know at all.
Okay, which is probably a bad thing for the athletes, just play the game. And he's not somebody that's going to be like, hey guys, I'm 1 win away.
Yeah.
Can we get this today? Let's talk about your team. 2-0, pretty decisive victories in terms of score. Game 1 on Friday took a while to get that first one. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing, but I'm fortunate to see the last 2 in the last 5 minutes. When you guys are done with Friday, and you know you've got another one the day after, what adjustments are you trying to make? Were there any adjustments at all, or was it just, hey, keep doing what we're doing and we'll just try to get one in sooner?
It was more calming down after that first game and just playing for fun, and that's what we tried to focus on in the second game. And that's about it, really. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be super intense. I mean, you have a game the very next day. The next day, you score the first goal of the game, so the first goal of your season. For those that did not see it, take us through that. Take us through, if you can remember, how it was set up and just the elation of scoring for the first time this season, and which you hope to be as a big season for you.
Well, someone passed it to Kennedy, and of course Kennedy is just running up the field, speedy as always, and then she does this huge cross, and it goes over Kate's head, and then I just put my head there, and it went in, and it was great, I guess.
So again, it doesn't have to always be detailed. It's a pretty simple setup.
Yeah.
It's good that you have Kennedy, Caitlin, Hammock, like you're all right there together. I feel pretty confident about that group. When you look at it, when you guys are talking in the locker room, you're looking at this team, I feel like when I'm at practices, there's this confidence in the air, but it's not an overconfident bunch. Obviously, last year was a disappointment. Even the year before was, in terms of losing in the second round. But do you feel there's a different vibe, a different confident vibe with this team, as in like, we know we're good, but we still have to prove ourselves at the same time?
Right. Yeah, with losing 7 seniors, 7 starters, we are basically a whole fresh lineup. So it is individual confidence, I think, and just working through, like, connecting with each other, because we haven't all played together for so many amount of years. Like, essentially, this is our first year all playing together. So it's kind of like a fresh start kind of confidence, instead of like the old team. They had years, like 4 years essentially, of that kind of old confidence within them.
Now, some of that confidence has been shaken in the off-season with the injuries that you all have had. Obviously, that's never a good thing, but I've asked Rachel, I've asked Emily Maxwell. They both tell me that they can see it as a good thing because it happened so early. Do you feel the same way? It's better to have had it happen before the first game as opposed to like last year when Hannah went down after a few games. Now you're in the middle of the season, you got to make adjustments. At least this way, the team's healthy, players were already set, and you already had adjustments made.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good thing, even though it's really unfortunate for Hannah. But it's better for us to find that connection and I don't know how to put it, like just that flow with the people that are playing now, instead of relying on someone, like kind of like we did with Hannah, like ensuring that, yeah, she would score. But now we kind of have to rely on like Kennedy and Kate or Katie to just find the back of the net instead of someone else. And they are healthy players, so we can always rely on that.
Last thing I'll ask you about that specific situation is with Coach Olson. He's been around a long time. He's dealt with moments like this a lot. What type of coach is he in those moments? What type of mentor is he to those that have to step up now? Is he a rah-rah guy? Is he a philosophical guy? Like, how would you describe the way that he handled the moment for you all?
With losing?
With the adversity, sorry.
Well, he's really encouraging, and he puts a lot of, that encouragement puts a lot of confidence on us new players to kind of step up in that forward position and take that role. And he is very philosophical, and it's more like he's mentoring us through soccer, but also applying it to our lives and somehow, if that makes sense. But yeah, he's definitely really encouraging with that stuff.
I think anybody who's been around him knows that that sounds pretty much, to a T how Coach Olson is. Soccer, service, and scholarship is something that you're all's pillars, but they're real. I mean, they do a good job of keeping those in front of you. I don't have to tell anyone what you are trying to get a degree in here at school, since you're wearing your uniform, as a nursing major. I asked you, obviously, what your career aspirations were and to be a registered nurse, but you mentioned a moment when you were younger that really helped you decide that this is what you wanted to do. What was it about that mentorship that at the end of it you're like, nursing is my thing, that's what I want to do?
Well, the nurses there, it's public health center, so they really get a wide variety of cases, and so it was really interesting to see how much passion they had for each patient, even though it might have just been a checkup or a visit, and the ways that they thought through each situation to give the best care to that patient. And that was really interesting to me, that they could do this for a wide variety, no matter how they were treated or whatever little resources they had, like they still had that passion and desire to care for their patient, which kind of helped me figure out what I want to do.
Absolutely. And where are you at now? Where are you working? Are you working off campus, or are you still doing stuff on campus with your nursing program?
Oh, well, we're at clinicals at the General Hospital right now.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying that?
Yeah, it's really fun.
Okay, that's good news.
Yeah.
Be a junior and be on that track, and that's still where you want to be. Last thing I want to ask about is something that I think every athlete has something to say about, friends and family, but how important is it for you to have a supportive family? We're going to show some pictures here, and we're going to show you guys hanging, off of, I guess there are steel beams or something together, just having a good time. How does that help you feel confident as a person, and even in your game of soccer?
My family has always supported me. They're definitely there whenever I need them, and it's more of just like they're letting me be more independent, but I can always go to them if I want to just like kind of get out of the college mindset and just have fun. It's a great time, and just the values they've instilled with me throughout life, so they've really just helped me out a lot throughout the years.
Now, one of the last photos we saw was of you as a baby. Holding a dove in your hand, which, I mean, it's a cute picture.
It's really creepy. It's really creepy.
Okay, you can say creepy. But I thought it was interesting. You said your fun fact was that you would actually do that a lot. Like, you would go and take professional prop photos a lot. So how many is a lot? Like, do you have
I honestly don't. Yeah, there's albums, and it's just me, and then sometimes it's all my family, and then siblings too. Like, I've got 3 siblings, and we all have these photos and these costumes, and or just like in really nice attire, and I just never knew that. And then one of my friends saw it, and she said, "Sarah, that's the thing no one knows about you. You got these weird pictures of you."
Is that the weirdest one? Do you think there's another one out there?
That's the weirdest professional, like, younger photo, yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely one of my favorites, so.
I can hear the sincerity in your voice. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you have a very busy schedule. Really appreciate it. And good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Home contest for them this weekend here at home in the Schellenberger Classic. All right, when we come back after this short break, we will finish the show with Michael Veverka, the brand new head coach of the Graf team here on the Weekly Sting. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Weekly Sting. I'm your host, Joe Hutzler. And in the last segment, we asked you the Hornet Trivia question. Now it's time to give you the Hornet Trivia answer. And this week, we asked you about Coach Todd Olson with his 2 wins this past weekend. How many wins does he have now as the head coach of women's soccer? The answer is 401, and that's a winning percentage over those years of 75%. He's lost less than 100 games over 532. Extremely impressive for Coach Olson. Now, someone who's trying to get the wins to rack up, brand new head coach for golf, Mr. Michael Veverka.
Appreciate you having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And an opportunity for people to get to know you.
Yeah.
And it's very apropos that it would happen after a very successful weekend for you all. A lot of people don't realize that golf is really a 2-season sport.
It is.
It's fall and spring. So last weekend, you guys traveled to Dover, Ohio in the Gatorade Intercollegiate, and a very successful weekend for you all, a second place overall finish. For you as a brand new coach, you didn't have many chances to see the guys that you would be taking up to Ohio. Were you surprised by that result?
Not too surprised. Coming into it, I knew the guys had a ton of talent. They were playing well all summer. We had 3 new additions this year that were really helpful going into that tournament. And they both we took 2 of them to this tournament, and those 2 performed awesomely out there. Having a true freshman count and score both days was phenomenal. And on the second day, we kind of fell back just a little bit, but still hung on tight enough to secure that second place. And I think we can improve on some things and really take it on to the next tournament.
As someone who was a college golfer yourself, when you're in your first tournament and you're in a different environment, I mean, they're not used to playing at a course in Ohio. When do you know that you're feeling good about your game? Does it take a couple holes? Is it the first hole? How does that typically work? I know it's not always the same, but typically, when do you know that someone like Carter Old, who finished 7th overall individually, is going to have that kind of weekend?
Right. So for Carter specifically, the second round, first hole, I catch up to him on the 17th, and he's smiling, just ear to ear to me, and I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Just drained a 65-foot putt for birdie on 1." I was like, it's going to be one of those days. And for the new guys, those first tee jitters, I think they're going to get everybody on any tournament at any level. But our freshman definitely handled it well. Got out there, struck his first tee shot dead down the middle of the fairway, and he was just off to the races after that. So I was really impressed that he kind of held that composure, especially his first clean event, his first clean tee shot. So excited for what he's got to offer going forward.
You can tell, being around you, you're very excited about what this team can do. And for yourself, you're coming from an area where you're already teaching as an assistant PTA. So when you look at your time at Maryland Eastern Shore and your time at Georgia Southern, what have you learned the most over that time? How have you grown in that really short amount of time since graduating in 2014?
Well, I tell the guys all the time that I made all the mistakes in college. They don't have to do it anymore. But every player is different. They all have a different approach to what they want to get out of the game. They have a different motivation going into it. One person might be motivated by his scoring average. One person might just want to go out there and just have fun. And it's getting to know each one of those individually that really helps us kind of come together as a team, as a cohesive group, and then learn to play for each other, not just ourselves out there, which is kind of different in golf in that it's a team sport in college, but most of the times we're playing as an individual. And I think our team has done that early on, which is a great time to get it done.
It is. And you mentioned the team versus individual factor, which I think is appropriate to bring up some other hobbies that you have, which are individual hobbies, individual sports. Skiing is one of them.
Absolutely.
As someone that's from Maryland, I guess you went to the one in
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but there's one in Whitetail.
Whitetail, yep.
Whitetail, yes. See, we're not far from each other.
Yep. So skied. I've been skiing as long as I've been playing golf, 20-something years now, and that was always a big passion of mine. I tell people all the time I'm a better skier than I am golfer, but it's oddly enough that you bring up Whitetail. I won my first high school tournament on the golf course at Whitetail, which is on the backside of the ski slopes. But yeah, growing up, it was a ton of fun. Just get out there and you kind of just tune everything out and just slide down.
I never skied there, but I like the tube there.
Absolutely.
I can handle the tubing.
Exactly.
Well, we're gonna test your wits and
Nice.
see. Obviously, as a golfer, you got to be able to handle pressure,
Absolutely.
individual pressure. And we're gonna play a game. We're gonna play a game every show this year. Very excited about that. And this one is called Sneak Attack. And we've played Sneak Attack before. It's been a while, but basically the game goes here. These are your cards, sir.
All right.
The game goes in a situation where I have a group of cards and the guest has a group of cards. In this case, the guest is Michael Veverka. And we have not seen these words, okay? The producers made these. And we have to try and put these words into sentences as seamlessly as possible. So we're going to try to have a conversation
All right.
using these words. We don't have to guess
Right.
what the word is, but we just have to try and
Fit them in.
fit it in there as best as we can. Okay?
Sounds like fun.
So as the guest, you're going to have to go first because I'm the host. I can do what I want.
Right.
So you get to go first and try to let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's know each other.
You know, we were talking about last week, and traveling with the guys, we like to listen to some comedy on the bus. We like to really kind of get in a laughing mood. So we listen to Enrique Iglesias talk about some fun stuff going
that
forward.
comedy?
It is to a lot of the guys on the team.
Because they can't understand
Exactly.
what you're saying? Oh, okay. Well, when I think of comedy, I'm a very retro guy. I like to watch old shows like Andy Griffith, Gilligan's Island. I like to watch Mr. Ed, some old stuff like that. So I would prefer, if I was on the bus, I would prefer to go with the old school stuff.
I hear you.
That's just me.
I hear you. Yeah, we were, we talk about other things on the bus too, going forward, places to travel, things like that. One guy was saying that he'd love to go to Djibouti going forward.
Djibouti.
Yeah.
You want to go? Okay. That's an odd place to want to go.
It is.
But
It is.
it's your team.
Yeah.
You have to deal with that. I have a confession to make. I struggle to sleep sometimes, so I watch this stuff on YouTube. It's called ASMR. You should definitely check it out.
I gotta check it out.
It's interesting. Like some of the words they use. Like if you guys are ever struggling on a bus to sleep, they use words like tingle. They use stuff like they use brush strokes on microphones. It's really interesting. I know it has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
But still, that's fun.
For a guy like me who doesn't sleep very much, it's very important.
It's funny you're talking about sleeping. I woke up from on the last round of the tournament over there, and I go out to the van to get it all loaded up, and I hear a meowing coming on, and I'm like, what's going on? So I look on the undercarriage of the van, and there's a cat stuck up underneath the wheel well.
A cat?
Swear.
What'd you do with it?
Let it go.
Oh, okay.
She got down and escaped and just took off running.
Well, something unrelated to that is weather. We're getting cooler now, and do you use chapstick?
I need to.
Yeah, I use
know.
chapstick too. I like the flavor kind. Dr. Pepper flavor is my favorite. I like Dr.
I
Pepper.
really had that. I need to
It's really good.
check that
It's
out.
really good. You get that taste, man.
I need to get the Mountain Dew one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Now we're talking.
Okay, all right.
Well, and then we were driving back, and we're like, we need to make sure that this performance gets noticed. So we made sure to call the voice of the Hornets, Joe Hutzler, to make sure that happened.
Well, I didn't get the phone call, but I'm glad you thought of me.
I did.
If nothing else. I have a question, because you seem to be a well-traveled guy. Do you know the purpose of pantaloons? Do you?
I don't.
Okay. It's just like
It'd
something.
be a great Google question, thoh.
It would be. It would be. You can send it to me too on Twitter. I'm at Joe Hutzler, so you can just let me know. Absolutely. I got one more word. Do you have one more?
I am done
You're
with
out?
words.
Okay, well, as guys who like Greek yogurt, we like Chobani. That's the last word. I don't
That's
know.
right.
I don't know where else to go with it. After pantaloons, where else do you go with that? Michael, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
For participating.
Appreciate you having
being
me
on
on.
the show. Really excited about what his team is going to do over the next couple months and getting prepared
Absolutely.
for the spring. You guys' next match
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
At Shenandoah. So
At
a bunch of
Shenandoah,
conference opponents.
So not far either, and hopefully good weather.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Thanks
Looking
so
forward
much. We got one more reminder before the show is over to talk about Over the Edge with Humankind. Last year on this show, we told you about LC, the mascot, going over the edge, which is over the bank of the James Bank downtown for Humankind and an effort to raise money for that nonprofit organization. If you want more information, you can find it at lynchburgsports.com. Also, the donation page for both Dell the mascot and Dr. Pat Aronson, who are going over as a team this year. You can also find that at lynchburgsports.com as well. That's all the time we have for this week. We will see you same time, same place next week. Remember, it's a great day to be a Hornets, and we are one nation.